Hello, learners and leaders. I am so excited you're here, and I'm so excited for what we're going to do today. We are going to learn all about owls. Specifically, we're going to learn about what owls eat and how they throw it back up. You want to see what's inside of this? Come on, let's go. Learners and leaders, for the past week, we have been reading Owl Moon. Now, in Owl Moon, a kid just like you goes out with their paw to search for owls. I can't take you searching for owls with me, so we're going to do something a little different. Instead of searching for owls, we're going to pull apart owl regurgitation. Regurgitation is a fancy word that means something that came up out of the throat, kind of like vomit. We're going to take that apart. So gross and so cool, right? So why do we want to look through owl regurgitation? Why would we ever want to look through that? Because we want to find out what this owl ate. Owls usually swallow their food whole. And a lot of times when they swallow their food whole, they can't digest all of that stuff. They can digest things like the muscles and the tissue, but they can't digest the hard things like the bones. Kind of like if we were to swallow a chicken whole. We could digest the chicken meat, but we wouldn't be able to digest the bones. Same thing. Let's look through and see what we can find. So owls have all this stuff in their system that they can't digest. What do they do with it? They spit it back up. And they spit it back up in little lumps. And those little lumps are called owl pellets. We're going to take one of those pellets apart and see what we find in there. Come on, let's go. All right, let's look at the supplies we have that we're going to explore with. I got everything in this cool owl pellet investigation kit. Grown-ups, I will put the link to this below in the description, and as always, I will have a blog post with complete step-by-step instructions of what we did. So I got everything in this kit. It came with 3 of these owl pellets that we're gonna pull apart. It came with a pair of forceps, which is just a fancy word for tweezers. And it came with this magnifying glass. It also came with this cool sheet that we're going to use to identify our bones. And then I also am wearing gloves, mainly because I don't want to touch owl vomit with my own hands, but it's safe, you could, it's up to you, and a little bit of something to protect my surface. And that's all we need. We're going to look at the pellet of a barn owl. Barn owls are amazing. They live on 6 continents, so every continent except Antarctica. They usually live close to humans in places like barns, abandoned houses, outbuildings, anywhere they can make an undisturbed nest. Now, as they live in those places and they're eating, they then regurgitate their owl pellets back up and leave them on the floor where it's pretty easy for us to find them. Because it's easy for us to grab those owl pellets are the most commonly dissected. Dissected is a fancy word that means we take something apart to look and see what's inside it. We can dissect things like plants, animals, owl pellets, all kinds of different things we can dissect to see how they work. Now, again, barn owl pellets are the most commonly dissected because they're easy to find, but they're not the only birds that put up pellets. Other owls regurgitate pellets, songbirds like larks regurgitate pellets, and even hawks spit up pellets. All right, let's begin our dissection. We're going to start our dissection by pulling apart a piece of this gently. And oh, there's a bone. We're going to kind of roll it between our fingers until we pull out a bone. Then we're going to just super gently tease out this bone. Just kind of really gently pull it out here. Now what we're really looking for is the skull. Owls mostly eat things like rodents, like voles and gophers, rats, and mice. And a lot of these rodent bones can look the same. So because we can't tell what we have by those bones, we're going to find the skull to tell us what it is. Now, skull is a fancy word that means the bones of the head and face. Poke your cheek. Feel that bone right there? That is your skull. Our skulls are what protect our brain and give our face shape. We are looking for the skull in this owl pellet. So here is a skull. I'm going to very gently work to get this skull pulled out. All right, so we found our skull. We actually found two skulls. So we're going to compare it to our sheet and see what we have. We're going to take our best guess and see what we think this owl ate. So this one, I think, is a rodent. And the reason I think that is because see on the picture how it has a tooth at the top and a tooth at the bottom? Same here, tooth at the top, tooth at the bottom. So we kind of match. This could be a rat or a mouse, some kind of a rodent. This one, I think, is a shrew. And here's why. It's smaller than our rodent. See how it was smaller than the rodent there? And it doesn't have that top and bottom pokey tooth. So I think we're looking at a shrew here. All right, let's look at what we have here and what I think some of the bones are. I've used my little sheet here to kind of compare and contrast. Let's talk about what we think we have. These are some jaw bones, and I can tell because look, there are the little teeth. Here we have, this is either a hind leg, see how I think this one is a hind leg, or this might be a scapula. A little bit tricky to tell, and I am certainly not an expert, and that's okay. We're just doing some exploration here. These I think are some different leg bones. Look, we have a vertebra right there, a couple vertebrae together there. Over here we have some rib bones. See how they're curved? We have rib bones just like that. And then obviously here are our skulls. What do you think, learners and leaders? Isn't that so cool? Learners and leaders, I am so glad you were here today. We grabbed our owl pellet, we gently pulled it apart, super carefully pulled those bones out, found our skull, and determined that our owl had probably eaten a rodent of some kind and a shrew. Along the way, we learned some fancy words. Let's review them. We learned regurgitation. Regurgitation is a fancy word for spitting something up out of your throat. Owls regurgitate the parts of a rodent or whatever they ate that they can't digest, like the bones. We learned dissect. Dissect means to pull apart so that we can figure out how it works. We can dissect plants, animals, a lot of different things. We dissected an owl pellet. And we learned skull. Skull is a fancy word for the bones of our head and face. Remember when we poke our cheek? That's our skull. Our skull is what gives our face shape and is what protects our brain. Learners and leaders, I'm so glad you were here today. Thanks for coming along. If you want more activities to go with the book Owl Moon, look at the description below for my website and look for the Owl Moon activity packs. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with a friend so they can come along next time. Thanks so much and have a great day, learners and leaders.